You're going to get 2 videos this week, aren't you? Lucky. Unusual, plenty of snoring. Okay, I wanted to talk. So it seems to have cropped up actually a couple of times just lately in the past week, and I think it's something that a lot of us struggle with, and I think it's something that I still haven't really found it. It's definitely a lot better than it used to be, but I do think it could still be better, and that's balance. And I'm not talking about wobbling and falling over. Fuck me, I do that regularly. No, I'm talking about life balance. You know, a balance between our training and our family and our work commitments. Now, obviously, with the UC project, excuse me, there was very little balance in my life. Everything was very focused towards that project. Off the back of them, I've tried to maintain a more sensible balance and approach to things. A balance with my drug use. You know, well, obviously, there is none really. It's medication use now. So, but if I was in a position to still use, I'd like to think that I'd be sensible enough to be quite moderate in use, and balance that use against what I need. I see so many people damaging relationships, damaging themselves, damaging relationships with their family, their loved ones, their parents, their kids, because they are so focused on their bodybuilding. And yet, realistically, it is always and always for them will be a hobby. Now, granted, you know, some people have aspirations to go all the way, and some people can genuinely potentially go all the way. And that does require obsession, and that does require dedication, that does require sacrifice and selfishness. But for the vast majority of us, that's never going to happen. And as a result, you've got to be sometimes step back and have a look at the price that you might not realizing you're paying. I'm not going to mention a name, but I had someone who I actually regard as a friend now, a client, who had got into the situation where his missus had sat him down and expressed that she was deeply unhappy because he didn't sit down to an evening meal with them as a family. And she missed that personal time. And it came very much out of the blue for him. He didn't see it coming and he didn't realise. And I think sometimes our partners are particularly good at trying to hide things that upset them because they think it's what we want to do. I mean, I train first thing in the morning now, so I don't eat into family time. It's not ideal. I don't particularly like it, but it's a compromise. And these situations, there has to be an element of compromise. There has to be balance. At the moment, I'm probably too work orientated. So my training's taken quite a back step, and it's just there as maintenance. But my work's got very much in the way. But there is an end goal with that, and after the end of this year, work's going to slow down. I still do this stuff and the coaching and drug work and everything else, but I won't be doing the security work anymore. That will be gone, which means I'll get my weekends back. So I'll be very much Monday to Friday and nothing on the weekend. And those that are in the UK, I don't know if you'll have noticed, but it's very rare I do coaching or I do seminars or I do things on a weekend. Because generally that's family time and I like to keep that. So it's work as much as I want Monday to Friday. I'm always at home, generally speaking, Mondays and Tuesdays anyway, because that's when I do my paperwork and my client check-ins and videos and that sort of stuff. And then on the road, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday's a bit of a floater. But I try and maintain strictly that I don't work weekends. There are exceptions and odd occasions now and again. I mean, I won't be going to Body Power next year, sorry, because the wife hates it and I've promised I won't go. I've been the last 5-6 years and it's not going to kill me to take a year off, even though I have been asked to talk. But you know, I think you do need to be realistic about where you are. And it's very easy to disappear down the rabbit hole of training and dedication. I mean, our whole environment, our social network support, the Facebook pages, everything that we're involved in pushes this hardcore, you know, you're only dedicated if you're training 365 days a year and you never miss a meal and this and that. And what I found is for the vast majority of people that try and attempt to do that, they actually end up being quite fucking miserable. And end up being very, very shallow, empty people. And it does seem that the more time we spend investing in the way we look on the outside, the less time we spend investing on who we are as a person. So I think it's important to try and have a balance. Obviously, if you're competing, you've got a goal, then yeah, you have to focus on that and you have to dedicate to that and you have to sacrifice to achieve that. And I'm not for 1 minute criticizing that in the slightest. But you also need time off, particularly if this is a hobby, particularly if this is not going to earn you a living, is not going to put food on the table, not going to put a roof over your head. The other thing with this as well is a lot of people say, oh, well, I'm happy doing that. But are you? And you may well be, but it does no harm to stop and ask the question. It does no harm to say, right, whoa, am I really happy doing this? Do I miss this? Do I miss that? You know, one of the things that I missed about being super large was being able to be involved with the kids. Being able to go on roller coasters or fairground attractions with the kids. To even be able to walk around amusement parks with the kids because it was just too demanding at that size. It's something I know Jordan Peters suffers massively with. He won't even walk 200 yards up the street to get in the car. And the car's brought, his missus brings the car down to the front door for him. I know Kareen's mentioned this in some of the information she's put out. Now, to me, looking back, you've got to be getting a pretty big payback to be paying that price. And yet I see people all the time. It costs relationships, it costs times with family, it costs fun times because they're so dedicated to what they're doing, but they're actually losing a lot in the process. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with being dedicated. There's nothing wrong with focusing on what you want to do and being focused on achieving. But just be aware of what it's costing you to do that. Because it's a big wide world and there's a world of experiences to endure. And you can still develop a pretty decent physique without being a martyr to the cause. And it's really, in my opinion, not worth family. I was always very conscious of the impact on the family, and I always tried to maintain as much as I could normal family life. But obviously it suffered. It wasn't possible. Even however much I tried to bullshit myself and convince myself it wasn't. And they knew there were limitations, and they automatically stopped asking to do certain things or go certain places because they knew it was a lot of hassle or hard work to do. Excuse me. And I think it's worth sitting down with your family and just saying, look, honestly, how much does what I do piss you off? Now, this doesn't mean that you roll over backwards and give everything back up, because if you're going to be happy as an individual, then you have to satisfy some of your selfish needs as well as some of your needs for your family and your significant others and those that you love around you. So, you can't live your life for them. You still have to fulfill your own life and your own desires, because if you don't, you'll only end up resenting them for the fact that they've stopped you from doing that. But you also have to be honest and realistic about where you are and what you're capable of achieving. Are you capable of turning pro? Now, if you truly believe you are, crack on, get your head down, mate, give it all you've got. But if you can sit there and say, you know what, no, I might do a regional qualifier, or I'm not even competing to compete. I'm just doing it for a bit of fun. Then make sure it is fun, because fuck me, the amount of people I see getting stressed and twisted out of shape because they can't do this, that, or other with the physique, and when we're all dead and buried and gone, really, does anyone even get a notice? You know? So I do think you've got to try and keep some sort of balance in your life. Oh, there's a strange cat in the garden. And it's not always easy to do. And sometimes you do need to speak to loved ones and those around you and ask their help in keeping you in the right direction. Having said all that, that doesn't mean you can't dedicate the areas that you do have wholeheartedly. So it's like, when you're in the gym, make that time count and then leave it there. You don't need to obsess over training when you're away from the gym if you're only training just as a hobby. Go, enjoy it, do what you want to do out of it, then go away, leave it. You can eat very, very healthily without living like a monk. You just need to be a little bit creative. But, it's people say to me, well, did you watch this podcast? Did you watch that? I haven't looked at a bodybuilding comp in 3 fucking years. I've not listened to a podcast, I don't think, ever. Not properly. It just doesn't interest me. I'm not into bodybuilding. I enjoy training. It's given me a lot. It has. It's cost me a lot, but those were costs that, to a large extent, I was aware of. But no, balance your lifestyle. Easier said than done. Make time for family. Make time for yourself to do something different. If it's a hobby, then it's supposed to be a hobby. You don't need to live and breathe it 24/7. It doesn't make you any less of a trainer. Jesus, I've met guys that obsess about training, obsess about diet, obsess about every aspect of what they do. Yet actually when they go to the gym, train like fucking fannies and put fuck all effort in because they're too wound up in the technicality of this and this issue and that issue and the fucking spunctum sperm fucking flim flam floppity technique. And though some time and effort should be taken to form and performing a stimulating rep, shit, you guys can overcomplicate this crap. Really. Obsessing over macros when you're just doing it for a bit of fun. You don't need to be super, super, super insanely strict for most people to get into a alright shape. Comp, completely different ballgame. But like I said, you can have a little bit of downtime. You can enjoy life a little bit and still achieve your goals. But honestly, I see people getting stressed out and wound up, and then they get wound up with everybody else. And obviously, an engagement with somebody on here who's very similar with me over my diet, and it's like, give yourself a break, lad. Seriously, there's more to life than this. Enjoy it. And it's something I've learned as I've got older, that step back, smell the coffee, smell the roses, have a look at the scenery every now and again. Because sometimes we can get so blinkered, so focused, so driven, we don't see anything anymore. Been there, done it. I still maintain it's something I needed to do, and I'm glad I did it. It was a great experience and it was a great learning curve. And I don't know if I would have got to the point I am now if I hadn't have done it. I think I needed, me personally, to go through that But I was lucky. I had a very supportive wife who understood. I don't think everybody would have put up with what that took, to be honest. I think a lot would have said, fuck you, you daft bastard, I'm off. But yeah, we get one. Don't waste it. Seriously. If you get something out of this shit, then great. But if it's not giving you that back, then just be wary of how much you spend on it. We all want value for money. We all want value for our time. We all want value for the effort we put in. And that goes to life as well as what we buy or what we do, but it's how we live our life as well. You want value for what you put into life. So don't put a lot of effort into something that's not giving you reward and value back. But being able to be honest about that and objective about that is difficult. Honesty, I've touched on this before. Self-honesty without being critical, with just being directly honest, is difficult to do. And it's probably even just as difficult when you ask someone else to do it, because they're so wary of how you may react. I'm lucky I've got a couple of friends. I mean, my wife's pretty brutal on the honesty front anyway. But I also have another friend who is ruthlessly honest. And will be very quick to tell me if he thinks I'm drifting one way or another. And he told me all through the UC projects that it was wrong and I was an idiot. He understood my motivation for doing it, but he just said, you're not looking good. This isn't a positive thing. It was in a lot of ways, but I do get what he meant, and I do realise in hindsight that I took it too far. But I still feel I needed, because I've never had a desire to be supersized since. The losing size took some adjustment, because I started to identify with that. I'd lost balance. And I mean, I still, need to find balance now with certain things. I still work too much, and I don't spend enough downtime relaxing. I don't switch off enough. In fact, when I'm not working, I do have a little bit of a guilt trip that I should be doing something, I should be being productive. So, it's I don't think it's something I've cracked yet, but at least I'm aware of it. At least I'm conscious of it there, and it helps me look at things a bit more wholeheartedly and a little more rounded and less opinionated when I look at a subject, and I try and look at it from a more objective viewpoint. Okay, I think I'm starting to ramble a little bit now, so I'm going to fuck off. Anyway, take care, guys. This will be it for videos this week. Possibly got some news coming up, but I need to confirm with the gentleman concerned. So I will. We're going to talk after the Olympia, which I think is about 11 days out now. So I'll let you know when that's confirmed what's going on there. But take care, and I'll speak to you guys soon.